Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our Survivor Winners at War, episode 12 reaction. I have so many thoughts. I don't even know where to start after all of this.
How about how much money would you pay for a cookie? $2 million? Would you pay $2 million?
Remember when that story came out about like those Supreme branded Oreos that were really expensive and people were buying them? They weren't even $2 million. Okay, this is the thing. And we will talk a lot about it in this video. I know when you're out there, you're hungry, you're starving, you're not thinking clearly. I get all of that. I like to think I am a strong enough human being that I would not drop in the immunity challenge for some cookies. But are those cookies even that good? Like, they've been sitting outside in the heat.
I totally understand being starving out there and going through all of that, but there's only so many people left, and you know that there's 2 immunities. Like, there's just a handful of people left, and you will be one of them, full of delicious cookies. But $2 million cookies?
Okay, we're gonna try to talk everything through because this episode was a complete comedy of errors, really from start to finish for a lot of people, and not even just Kim, who ends up getting voted off, but there's a lot to go through here. Before we start, though, if you guys do like this video, give us a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. This hurts me deep in my insides because Kim is one of my 2 favorite people on this season. I love Kim and I love Tony. I never wanted to see my favorites fight each other. I never wanted to see Kim give up on an immunity immunity challenge to go and get some cookies.
I was really surprised by it. It's not something that I expected from Kim. I really like Kim a lot. And she's, like, I was so worried about her at the beginning of this season. It felt like, oh no, she's going to go so early. And then she's made it so far. And she knows that she's a big target. I mean, she is. I just don't understand the reasoning behind it. She must have felt very comfortable with the people that she was working with. And I know we only see a little bit of the show, but at the same time, I'm not sure why she felt that comfortable to drop when there's only like a handful of people that could be going home tonight.
And this is where I think I give Kim the most grief. And I say this with a tremendous amount of love and respect for Kim's first time on Survivor, but it's one thing to drop out of, I think, of an immunity challenge where you have a loyal and trustworthy group of allies who you feel really good about. But one of the people who you are relying upon, and you know where I'm going with this, in order to keep your plan a secret, is Ben, who going into this season was known for Ben bombs. And yes, most of those involved immunity idols, but Ben also has word bombs where Ben does not keep anything a secret.
No.
Ever.
No.
Don't trust Ben to keep your plan.
Yeah, that went really sideways for Kim, man.
That is the mistake that I think is the biggest one. And then it almost even felt like at Tribal Council, Kim was sort of reading the room. It was just like, oh no, I should not have dropped for this immunity challenge.
Yeah.
Kim's at least, I guess, perceptive, but we have another whisper fest that's going on Tribal.
Yeah, at least, I mean, there's been the past ones that we had, we weren't really getting what was going on. It was just kind of like,
Yeah.
But at least this time we had a little more in the way of like some subtitles, so we kind of know what people are talking about. I still would prefer to see some of these talks really happening before we get there. This getting up and whispering and running around, and I mean, it's not as exciting for me. I like the strategy stuff that's going on around camp and that kind of scrambling.
The thing I really want to know is whether or not anything changed at Tribal Council, because usually I feel like a lot of these whisper fests are much ado about nothing, but as much as they're starting to get to be a little much for me, I actually kind of feel like maybe the plan changed at Tribal. I don't know. My gut feels like, and this, maybe Jeremy just is like the dude with 9 lives this season, because I feel like going in, Jeremy was going to be the person who was going to be voted off. And at some point along the way, people got on board with this idea of getting rid of Kim instead. You want to know another bee in my bonnet?
besides losing Kim, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I have a lot of bees. This is a swarm of bees that are in my bonnet tonight.
All right, let's have it.
All right, I do not like that they do not show you who voted for who at the end of the episode anymore. Like, that really bothers me because it leads to confusion. I'm going to speculate. We saw Michelle's vote, and Michelle voted for Jeremy, which is kind of hilarious in retrospect because Michelle sort of voted out the person who she's close to because I'm guessing she thought everyone else was going to do it and she's going with the plan.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's like, I know when she was giving him that 50-50 and she was kind of like, I have to write your name down. It's sort of like Big Brother. Oh, the whole house is voting you out. So, this is where I got to go. I can't go against it or then there's going to be a target on me. And it was, and I just feel like she's been left out of a lot of the plans this season, that to the point that she's just kind of like, this is happening and she still doesn't even know what's happening.
I don't know what was going on with Michelle, because then we know where her vote is. Obviously Kim voted for Jeremy to go.
Yeah.
I have to assume that the third person to vote out Jeremy is none other than Ben, because now we get to how absolutely terrible Ben is in this episode. Because yes, good on Ben for finding an immunity idol. We'll talk about how bad that is in a moment because it is hysterical. But Ben, you do know that there is a jury at the end of the season, right? It would not having a conversation with Jeremy, who is one of 7 other people to presumably talk to, it's so bad. I don't understand why you can't just have a conversation.
His jury management is so bad. And I mean, we've seen it on Big Brother. We've seen it on here. You have to make people feel good when they're going out the door, or if you think they might be going out the door. Like, come on. Like, these are the people that decide if you get the money or not. So you just can't smooth things over. There's only like a handful of people left. Like, make amends, Ben. Just work it out.
Yeah, it was so incomprehensible to me.
I didn't get it.
I don't care if Jeremy went and cut your beard off in the middle of the night.
That's terrible.
I understand it's terrible. That's my point. It's terrible. But you still have to smile at him with your weird beard and pretend like you're still friends because you're playing for $2 million.
No.
The beard would grow back, Ben. But Ben is acting as though Jeremy cut off his beard. Like, he's acting as though Jeremy has, like, broken every rule in the book against him, and that Jeremy is somehow, like, the spawn of, like, evildoers. It's Jeremy. He's, like, the nicest guy.
I would love to know what it is that Ben is so pissed off about, because he was super pissed off about Adam. Now he's super pissed off about Jeremy. What is going on that he is so irritable that every time the person he doesn't like goes, another person is here in their place?
Maybe it is a part of the Ben Driebergen rules for playing Survivor. There must always be a man in the game that I hate.
Maybe.
I don't know, but I mean, Ben is gold for entertainment. Ben is not gold for gameplay in this episode. Ben is cubic zirconium in gameplay this episode.
Now, I know that there's going to be a lot of people that are, including you, that are going to give him crap for this idol thing.
It's coming.
The only thing that I could possibly think of to give Ben the benefit of the doubt is he did it really fast. So my feeling is he probably thought there's like a 50-50 shot that I do this and maybe Tony's back is turned. And if he does it fast enough, he would have been able to get away with it. And he just happened to be on the wrong side of that 50-50 coin toss where actually Tony was watching.
This was a much more effective 50-50 than the 50-50 advantage in this episode. I mean, let's say that first and foremost.
Yeah.
See, I think if you're having a conversation with, let's just say, Survivor Schmo, and Survivor Schmo doesn't know anything about finding idols, or it's a red shirt on any given season, maybe this works if you're Ben. But Ben, read the room. You're having a conversation with Tony. Tony, who is so good at hiding things that he spent a part of the episode in a tree.
Yep.
He is going to detect you finding an idol, and I loved every second of this. I love Tony like pointing out the idol. I love Tony's impression of Ben after finding the idol, where he was just like doing all these weird things with his hands. It was so funny.
I was actually thinking, like, okay, Tony ended up calling him out. Ben was like, all right, I've got my hand in the cookie jar here. Let's talk it out. There was a minute that I was kind of wondering if this was really going to end up turning into sort of a bonding moment where they're both like, oh, okay, let's have a good laugh over this, and let's just, I know you have this, I have this, let's just laugh it out, because you're on this island and everything is really intense. Everyone is really like anxiety ridden. You haven't eaten, you haven't slept. That maybe just having that laugh with each other and kind of having that moment might have bonded them together, but it just kind of didn't really work out.
I love everything about this segment. I love the arguing between them. I love Tony. I don't think Tony was actually mad, but I think Tony wanted Ben to freak out about it. So you had like Tony riling up Ben, the impersonation, and then you have Ben like hoisting Tony and running away from the scene like it is like a newlywed couple after a wedding. It's just like, what is going on here? And then, provided my theory is right, they don't even vote together at the end of the episode.
Yeah, that's why I was saying, like, if your theory is right and they did not vote together at the end of the episode, then this could have been that moment that turned it around, where it was like, okay, you know what, caught, let's get through it.
Yeah, and just to make it clear that I'm not immune to giving Tony some criticism here and there. I do question highly the decision on Tony's part to tell Ben that he has an immunity idol, because...
Who are you?
It is Ben! You don't tell Ben things! Like, I love me...
No, you don't tell Ben things! We learned it episode 1, you don't tell him anything, he just can't be trusted.
I guess if I'm going to try to play devil's advocate with this move, and it's difficult because telling Ben things should always be a Survivor no-no, but maybe he is sort of seeing Ben and his irrational hatred for Jeremy, and he is just like, look, if I'm going to have a conversation with Jazz, I told you guys I wasn't going to do the bad Tony impression.
Totally lied.
But here I am.
Go.
If I'm going to do conversations with Jeremy, I got to have a conversation with Ben. I got to tell him that I can trust him. And so he's got this conversation going with Ben, and then Tony does the hand thing a lot. But okay, so they have I think he must think, keep it together, Matt. Okay, he had a conversation with Ben, and I'm guessing he needed to build up the trustometer with Ben, because talking with Jeremy, anyone talking to Jeremy, Ben's trustometer goes down because he hates Jeremy and everything he stands for.
No, it's true.
So I guess that's what Tony was thinking. I don't really know.
I'd like to know what Denise was thinking tonight by turning to Jeremy and being like, no, we're done.
Yeah.
I was like, is she just feeling kind of like what I'm feeling, which is I am over everybody getting up and whispering, and she was just saying what I was thinking? Or was she like, no, we're done because we're not going to vote you out, and she knew it? Because whatever it is, the way that it ended, it was sort of like, you sure you want to do that? I was like, oh no, what is happening? What are you doing, Denise? No, you've been playing this game really well. Don't do this. Oh, you only have this necklace for one week. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
it was like,
no.
That is like the closest I have ever seen nice guy Jeremy, who I've said before, if I was like going out for a drink with any person on the season, it would be Jeremy. Like, I love Jeremy. But that was like, Jeremy that was a threat. Like, that was pretty much like I'm going to come back at you if you don't do anything for me here. And yeah, maybe Denise was the other person. Maybe it wasn't Ben, but that was shocking on Denise's part, and I think not good on Denise's part.
No, I think that was a really bad move, unless she did not vote for him and she can somehow prove it afterwards and have the receipts to be like, listen, I said it to you like that because I didn't want you to worry because we had you.
Yeah.
But if that is not the case and she voted for him, she is in trouble.
Yeah, don't lose a jury vote. I mean, I don't think Jeremy would be a bitter juror, but I still think don't do anything in that vein. let's spend a minute here on the Cops R Us show and what was going on here, because I also question Tony just basically admitting to everyone in the middle of tribal council I have an idol, because he's trying to, I guess, make good on Sarah and make her feel okay. I guess that's why he's doing this.
Yeah, it seemed like, I mean, there was that minute that somebody was throwing out her name there and he was getting really worried about it. So, I mean, I get it why he was like, I'm going to do this. It was more surprising at that point that she was like, no, don't. Like, yeah. I know she feels secure, but at the same time, it kind of just outs him. It would almost benefit him to use the idol, help her out, and then get the next idol. He's really good at finding idols, so it's not like he would not be able to find something else and then have that one kind of hidden.
Yeah, like the thing he's going to have to hope for now is that he either wins more immunities, finds more idols, or he somehow finds a way to dupe people to continue to want to work with him on some level. I loved the Alliance pitch that went out with the Alliance named the Soldier, the Two Cops, and a Fireman. Like, it sounded like like these people all entered the bar joke.
Yep.
Obviously that is not working because the Soldier doesn't want anything to do with the Fireman. But all of that was fun. Okay, the other decision we have to talk through here is Michelle deciding to give up her 50-50 advantage to Jeremy. I mean, we don't know if Jeremy's going to give this back. That's a part of this.
Yeah, it was very strange. Like, I understand that she was saying, I feel like I have to put your name down because everybody's going to vote and I don't want to be that person out, because then it's going to be like, oh, now she's the target. But if you feel like maybe he can get out of this with this advantage, like, maybe you can sway some of the votes and maybe get your advantage back.
Yeah,
and it's such a crappy advantage.
It is. That's why this is the thing.
Where he said it's like, oh, it's just a coin toss sort of thing. Yeah, that is what it is.
I loved Jeremy waffling with the coin in his hand because he was just like looking in the heavens, like, please let me know what direction this coin. I'm gonna have to flip this stupid coin at Tribal Council now. Maybe he just didn't. Maybe it was like Tony who didn't want to put the water on himself. Like his pride got in the way and he didn't want to use it.
That was great. You come over to help me out.
Yeah, Tony, come on. You've gotten in the water before. No, maybe it's because this advantage kind of sucks that I'm not going to give Michelle a hard time for giving it to Jeremy, because I don't think Michelle's going to be voted out. Like, I don't understand why anyone would get rid of Michelle until that advantage is probably moot anyway, because Michelle's probably not going to win.
And she hasn't really had her name thrown around. Like, nobody's really targeting her. Nobody's really looking at her right now. She probably is like, oh, I've got this advantage. I mean, I don't foresee myself really needing to use it. But if you're going to give him the advantage and you want him to stay, then don't put his name down and try to just do whatever you can. Like, play some of that social game. Try to see if you can just, like, if you're switching your vote and you can just get a couple more, then this changes for him, and then you don't have to give up your advantage at all.
I wish I knew what was going on with Michelle in a lot of these votes, because I feel like I'm always sort of confused. I'm almost as confused.
Like Michelle. Yeah. It feels like she's getting kind of confused in some of these votes because people aren't talking to her about stuff, and that's not great this late in the game.
No, and I mean, this is probably why Michelle is in a good spot to go to the end, but I don't think she's got a good chance of winning. Speaking of confusion, one of my other favorite moments in this episode is Nick going and having a conversation with Tony after Tony already knows everything that Ben has already spilled the beans, and then Nick's lying here is terrible. This is like a D+ performance from Nick.
Yeah, and Nick is actually typically pretty good at spinning lies in this game and getting people to believe stuff. Like, it's a good advantage that he's able to do. So it was a bit surprising to see him just be like, I don't know. Let me think about that for a second. I was like, what is happening, Nick?
Everything happened within the last 24 hours. I don't think you have magically forgotten what information was passed around, Nick. Tony is not an idiot. Tony may do crazy things sometimes, like hide in a tree, but he's not an idiot. He's going to figure this out.
Yeah, if somebody's coming to you with the exact information that you heard, then you just need to come clean, because They clearly know it. It's been told. Just figure out another lie to wheel your way out of it.
This is actually, I think this has long-term ramifications too, because now Tony is going to know that Nick isn't really fully with him, and I think he thought that previously.
I think he did too.
Okay, so I have one more major bee in my bonnet, and then we'll talk about Edge of Extinction. But okay, I have a bee in my bonnet with Survivor producers here.
I have a bee in my bonnet about Edge of Extinction, so I'm glad we're going to talk about that stupid coconut challenge.
Okay, well, let's talk about... I hate that they gave 2 immunity necklaces here, and there's only 8 people left. I don't think you need to hand this many things out, because I already know what all the tinfoil hat people out there, they've all got them on now, and they're all being like, okay, producers, I know you want Tony to go really far in the game, and you're giving him an extra opportunity, because Tony, I'm just assuming they're all going to be talking about Tony with this, because I understand, I'm a Tony fan, but I understand there's a lot of people who were annoyed that Tony basically was 90% of this past episode. I think they're going to think that production is trying to help someone, whether it's Tony or somebody else staying in the game, and I don't love that.
Yeah, I don't know that it's necessarily that they're trying to keep Tony specifically, but I think they are trying to keep... I mean, a lot of the sort of bigger players are all over on Edge of Extinction. There's only a handful of them left here, so I mean, I think they were really trying to at least find a way to save one of them.
Yeah, I think I'm worried because I want Tony to win because I love him. I'm worried that if he does, people are going to come back and be like, oh, production did this. But it felt like Tony and Denise were the final 2 after the great peanut butter debacle happens. And we haven't given Nick enough grief for this either, by the way.
Yeah, because that's the thing. I mean, let's just say that the tinfoil hat thing here, that they're trying to give, Tony immunity here. He had a chance to bow out. They were kind of like, Nick was like, hey, I'll give you a fire token if you go out. And he was like, nah, I'm good, bro. And stayed up there. So, I mean, regardless if they put out the extra immunity idol or the extra immunity necklace, he was in it to win it. He was not going to drop for a fire token. He was not going to drop for some peanut butter and some cookies. He was not dropping for anything. So could he have still won this if it was just him and Denise up there? It's possible. Yeah,
it's certainly possible he could have, and then we wouldn't have to hear about this at all. And that I think that's kind of my point. But even if Tony hadn't won immunity, he still could have figured out that there were people targeting him and played the idol. We don't know what would happen in this sliding door Survivor moment, but I now concede the floor to you to discuss Edge of Extinction.
Okay, so this coconut challenge. Listen, if I was on Edge of Extinction, I understand that these fire tokens are somewhat valuable. And I'm going to say somewhat valuable because Michelle bought a coin toss for 4 tokens, which seems like a lot, okay?
Yeah.
For a crappy advantage.
Yeah.
Over on Edge, you're not eating that well, you're not sleeping that well. Those energy is the most important advantage that you actually have. So the more you sleep, the more you eat, the better it is. Running up and down that beach 20 times seems like a really, really bad use of the little energy that you do have. And I mean, you can see them. They're all withering away over there, except for Natalie, who always looks so good. But anyways, it was just... I was really surprised that they were going to put together some sort of challenge like that they're already underfed and underslept, and now they're going to make them run up and down the beach. I would have been for 2 tokens. Again, it's such a small little thing. That should be the 4 tokens. It's got to be like worth something besides your pride. Like the energy that you expel doing this, it is really valuable. So me, if I was there, I'd been like, you can keep your tokens because I need to keep my energy up. I need to keep my weight up. I can't do this.
I would have loved it if somebody was like, nah, I'm good, and they just sat in the shelter the whole time. It would have been...
That would have been me.
Some people, I'm sure it would be polarizing, but I do think there is actually value to it, like you're saying, and I think above all else, I am on Team Entertainment. It would have been hilarious, and especially because you have people like, they're actually like really, really bending over backwards to do this, and I I wrote down the people who got the tokens. Don't ask me at this point who has how many tokens on Edge of Extinction, because this is way too confusing at this very moment.
I feel like Natalie is probably pretty fire token rich.
I feel like Natalie and Parvati have a ton. I still don't know exactly how many Parvati gave up for the peanut butter. I don't get all the rules with that, but Natalie, Sophie, who was surprisingly really, really good at this. I don't really think of Sophie as an athlete, but she did really well. Parvati, Tyson, Yule. There's your victory for Yule, and we've been a while since we've celebrated Yule.
Yeah.
Alas, poor Danny. She actually got more screen time tonight than I think she's had since when she was voted off.
Yeah, that is true.
Only for her to wipe out right before the end and Wendell to get it. But
it was also cool that after we saw Rob wipe out, that he was like, nah, man, I'm going to find a way to finish this challenge. That was also very commendable. Where I would be sitting in the shelter being like, nah, I'm good, bro. I'm just going to stay here. Because I think the energy you expel doing that is more valuable than what you're getting.
This, as much as I have complained about things in this video, and I understand that I have a lot, I enjoyed this episode immensely. We have a lot more to talk about it. We'll talk in the preview video coming soon. Tomorrow, we'll go through secret scenes and everything else. Let me know what you think about what happened tonight, whether or not it was the right move to get rid of Kim in the comments. And if you do like this video, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, and you can support us further by checking the link in the description to the store. And we'll see you here next time.